Okay, welcome to week 4 live lecture. I hope you guys are enjoying your final week. I know a lot of you guys are probably just trying to catch up on things, especially if you have more than one class, which is fine. I mean, that's just how it is, especially with life going on. But hopefully you're in a good spot to go forward with your second part of your project this week, which is the other 2 pages of your newsletter, along with some other things that we'll discuss today. So hopefully you're in a good place. If not, reach out to me. I'm here to help you guys, and we'll go forward from there. Just make sure that you're listening to the lecture recording. If you cannot make it here live, I go over step-by-step instructions on how to do things. So it's very, 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 very beneficial for you to come in or actually either come in live or just listen to the recording. All right, so just kind of similar to our other weeks, your week 4 work needs to be submitted before midnight. The important part of this is I cannot accept any late work past this date. Now, when I say late work, I'm talking about the if it's over a week late, then it cannot be credited. So if it's a week late, that's kind of what I'm talking about. So if you still owe week 3 work, definitely get it in before midnight on Saturday for some credit. This excludes discussions. They need to be done during the due date. And then your discussion post, again, the initial post needs to be posted by Wednesday before midnight. You have you need to do at least 2 responses to 2 different peers on different days as well. So have that done before Saturday, before midnight as well. And then you also have, and let me go in here and share my screen for week 4. You have the career integration quiz, which is basically your reflection. Just make sure you're answering them thoroughly. Excuse me. I just had a little break there. Just make sure you're answering that thoroughly, because if you're just doing one-line sentences and not being very specific, you won't get the full points. And it's an added 15 points to your score, so definitely is worth it. And it's a nice way to reflect back on what you've learned, what you've liked in this class, things that you enjoyed and maybe didn't think about. So as designers, we also do reflections, whenever a project is done, either with, our own self-reflection or with a boss, coworker, collaborative reflection, and or client. We want to make sure that we're learning the most out of what had happened with the projects. If something went wrong, how do we fix it the next time? What did we learn from it? What are some of the things that you really enjoy doing and learning more about? So discussion, you have your career integration, you have your assessment as well. I believe this is a final exam. So this is basically covering everything that we learned in this class. So week 1 to 4 live sessions, readings and videos. There's a total of 14 questions, and the quiz is not timed. And basically the objectives being covered is to identify and match 10 basic tools to the description of their use, identify and match 5 InDesign panels to their functions, create a new document in InDesign and insert text frames and images, identify and apply the 4 basic principles of design, so CRAP, define and apply the 5 basic elements of design: shape, line, color, texture, and value. So 35 points total, so just don't forget about that, okay? And some of the learning objectives for week 4 are listed if you click right onto the word week 4 button. The learning objectives, and some of these have been kind of rolling over into weeks that we've already experienced, which is great because it's, we kind of continue our project into the next week, and we're implementing master pages, we're learning defining and applying the grid system, basically, I'll, kind of read through this. All of these objectives is what you guys should be walking away from, learning, taking away from, I should say, from this week. Okay, so yeah, so just an important note, I cannot accept any work past Saturday by midnight. Grades are due at a specific time, and we need to get that done as soon as possible. Okay, so let's take a look. We'll dive right into it. Assignment 4. Just a few things to mention from what I've looked at and evaluated last week for your first 2 pages for the newsletter. Just make sure that you're listening to the lecture. It really will save you a lot of time if you have questions or just hung up on certain style sheet options and how you do it, how you set it up. I did a step-by-step demo on how to do that and how to approach this project. So it will really help you. And I can tell the students that may have not listened to the lecture. I think that it would definitely benefit you to go back. And some of you I have mentioned, please go back and listen to the recording because there's just so much that needs to be revised. And I want to give you that second chance to revise it. Listen to the lecture, go through, revise it, learn from it. There were some of you who weren't even using style guides in here, or style sheets, I should say. So that's the whole premise of this project, is to learn how to apply style sheets and set up your folio for your master pages, how to use master pages. So if I don't see that you're using them, obviously I have an issue, and I want to make sure that you correct that before going forward, instead of just marking you points for it and then just saying, hey, go to the next part of the project. I really want you guys to walk away with a good foundation of how to set up a newsletter, a publication of sorts, in the correct way, because you will be doing something like this in the real world. If you get a design job, you will be setting up master pages, style sheets, or working with somebody else's that is a continuation. So just kind of a little FYI there. You don't want to be like kind of blowing it off now, and then you get into the real world situation. You think to yourself, well, maybe I should have paid attention a little bit to my one class that I had, 105. And sometimes we forget. I understand that too. You need a little refresher. But it's always good to kind of understand how it all works before it's too late. Let's see this again. Okay, so this is kind of where we kind of ended the last time we met up here. And I kind of showed you how to place in all of these articles, the masthead. Excuse me, it's been a long day. Table of contents with leaders. Initially, I showed you, and I apologize, I must have stopped sharing. I didn't stop sharing my folder in the early parts of the lecture in week 3, and a lot of you guys brought that to my attention. So I was showing a folder instead of you seeing my screen of how I did the folio down below. When I had a couple of you guys email me about that, I immediately created a video and posted it to announcements that just covered how to do that. And I shared my screen. So if you missed that, go back to announcements. I posted that last week. And I don't know, it's like a 10-minute video. Definitely check that out. And I apologize in advance. Okay, so some of you guys still kind of have, most of you guys did have the folio set correctly. I've only had a few of you that still really had to go back to the master pages, maybe didn't have an understanding of how they worked, and also creating the page numbers in the way that you need to so that they align with each page. But a lot of you guys did really, really well with setting this up, just a few tweaks. And you can always kind of adjust things as you go forward. Like for instance, things like this, pay attention to, and there's small things, but the devil is in the details. These are called widows because they're only one word on one line, the last line, and you want to make sure you don't have widows. So typically how to get rid of that is you would do a shift return, like a soft return, whoops, for a word that could go, you may bump everything at the bottom. You just have to make sure your rag doesn't look too choppy here. You know, it looks a little bit more even. So I would do something like that. So I did a shift return, is a soft return, and that helps fix any type of, see how there's two words now, so we're good. So those are called widows, so just pay attention to that. There were only a few of you that didn't quite fit the ad in correctly. So once you place it into your rectangle frame box, don't forget to go to Object, Fitting, and Fill Frame Proportionately. And that will make sure that you don't have type kind of coming to the edge that's too big and not aligned properly. Okay? All right. So what we're going to do on the inside is just kind of continue on. So we have a double page spread here, and we're going to add in some parts in here. So let's go back to Canvas and read the assignment for details here. Okay, so so basically the objectives covered are listed here. Go ahead and read through that. And you can also read through the background. I won't go through that word for word. I will go through the prompts. So for this assignment, you will be continuing the work you began in week 3's assignment. Duplicate the file you created for week 3's assignment and rename it for this week. That's the first step. Make changes and revisions suggested by your instructor in critique or in class from the 2 pages you did in week 3's assignment. So anything I gave you in regards to comments that need to be revised, definitely do so. Download the articles and photographs below if you have not already done so from week 3. So those can be found here with the hyperlink. Download the Student Matters newsletter assets here. The package file includes, that's where you'll click if you don't have them accessible. You must use all of the text provided. You must use all the photos provided. If you need to adjust your style sheets upon adding the actual elements, you may do so, but make the changes within the style sheets themselves. You're encouraged to follow general layout from the example so you can focus on learning the tools. When you're finished with your design, create a package folder. Be sure that a quality screen resolution PDF is included in your package, and you're going to zip the package folder and submit the zip file. Okay, so you can click on this link. Again, it's going to give you a zip folder that's going to unzip when you download it, and it's basically the folder with everything in it that you need for this particular assignment. So the first thing is to name it, rename it, and then make your changes. So let's go ahead and do that. So I already let me rename this file, save as assignment 4. Let's just say I made those changes if I needed to do that. The next thing that I'm gonna do, and I think there's an example in here. Let me open this up. Yes, okay. I'm actually going to open up the other example that I have in my folder because I think it shows a little bit better. Oops, that's not right. Three. Hold on, guys. I thought I had this all together, but I don't. Go back to my Google Drive here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let me show you the finished version of what it should look like. So here's the first page you guys saw, and then here is the double page spread. Okay, please. Hold on 1 second, guys. Zoom out. But okay, so you're going to start out with the get more out of your study time, big picture, kind of going across 3 columns of body copy. That's going to start your article out. And then you're going to have the image, the second image here. The article continues on the second page spread, and then you have kind of like a pop out segment here that belongs with the article. It's just kind of like a highlighted feature to be added into your newsletter about healthy snacking. So we're going to take a look at that. I will show you how to do drop caps because I don't think I did that before, and you had a drop cap here, so I'll do that as well. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing and let's go ahead and I'll just kind of move forward and show you how I would approach the project. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Okay, so I would show your guides right now. If you don't have your 3 columns up, definitely change that so that that's showing. The first thing that I would probably do is maybe get your copy. Open your copy up, and the copy is in, again, the assets folder. Get more. Where is that on here? Oh, study time, I think, is the name of this one. You can't see what I'm doing. I'm opening up the Word file for this. So just behind the scenes, I'm opening up the Word file. I'm copying the text from the Word file in the assets folder for this article. Now I'm going to take the type tool and I'm just going to draw very quickly just a type box just so that I can Command V, paste it all in here. Okay, so that's the one article. The other article, and that's going to be, is the healthy snacking part. So I'm going to open that up. So healthy snacking is a separate article. It's kind of like a highlighted section. So I'm going to copy that text. And I'm just going to throw it over here. I'm just going to make a smaller type box, just throw it over there. Okay, so don't forget, if you created your character style and your paragraph styles, you have them in here. That's the good thing because you have everything set up now. All you need to do is take the type tool, select all for the copy that you just pasted in there, and choose body copy. You want this body copy to be consistent with this body copy, okay? So go ahead and do that. We're going to go in and change the headlines and all of that, but for now, that's kind of where I would start. Okay. Now, in the example, it's showing you 3 columns on the left page, 1 column on the right page as far as the article, get more out of your study time. So why don't we go ahead and divide that up into columns, and I'll show you how to do that. So select your one big text box, if you created it, all the way across. We're going to go up to Object on your menu bar, Text Frame Options, with that selected. And we're going to choose Hit Preview, and you'll see it change. We're going to hit 3 columns. Now, the gutter should be 0.25, so if that's not the case like it is here, change it to do that and see how kind of fits a little bit better in the gutters, because the gutters, which are the spaces in between your columns, we already set up as 0.25. So when I went in here, this was 0.167 or something like that. So we need to change that. It's like, okay. Now, this type column is a little different. We're going to kind of do something different with it. So I'm going to just leave this as is, and we'll discuss this in a second here. I'm going to pull this down. So the middle little square here, I'm going to pull down. bounding box, I should say, because we have a headline to put up here, and we also have an image that we need to put in here. So I'm gonna pull this down even more. I'll kind of show you where I'm stopping eventually. I'm gonna take the type tool and I'm going to copy just this top line. So get more out of your study time. Copy that, so do a Command C and then delete it. That's your headline. Make a new type box up here and then Command V, which is paste or file paste. This is your new headline. So select your new headline, go into your paragraph style and choose headline. And that way that is consistent with the headline that you used here, you know, as well as here. Okay, and I would kind of have it so that the headline is right under that margin. So you have at least a ½ inch above space-wise. It's always nice to do that because it gives a nice visual pause and frames your work nicely. It's a nice balance of white space. I always like to tell my students, think of it as like a photograph. When you're, you know, printing out a picture and you put it in a frame, the more space that you give around it, the more frame that you add, the more important the information inside becomes. So if you're, you know, too close to the trim edge, it's just not going to look pleasing, and it's going to be harder to follow, and it's not going to make it look as important. Okay, I'm going to take the rectangle frame tool. I'm going to go ahead and draw out where my picture is going to be. Do Command D for file place. And study matters, to town and how to school. I think this is the second one. This is the first one. So you want studytime1.jpg. And after you place it, it's going to place it really kind of zoomed in. So what we need to do with that selected still, we need to go to Object, Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionately, just like how I showed you for that ad on page 4. You can probably pull this down a little bit if you want to, you know, kind of balance it a little bit better. Okay, so we have the picture in there. We have the type that we tried to make consistent with the front. Now I want to show you the PDF again because I want to show you a few things. What we didn't do is set up a drop cap, and we didn't do subheads. We only did headlines. So we have to make I have to create a subhead paragraph style and a drop cap as a style sheet. Or actually, that would be a character style. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Do that now so I can show you how to set that up. Another thing, okay, I'm trying to think of other things that I can show you here. I'll go back to my InDesign here. So you have subheads that come into play here. Let's go ahead and change those now. Not change them, but create a style sheet for them. And it would be the paragraph style. You wouldn't use the character style for this just because some of the headlines are a little longer. Oops. So get paragraph styles up. Go ahead and create a new paragraph style. And I would just name this subhead. Keep it, well, you don't have to keep it the same typeface. You could go completely different with this one. Like for instance, I'm using a sans serif, or I'm sorry, a serif typeface for my body copy. You could totally do a serif, like Helvetica New, just like we did with the headlines. I would just make them a little bit bigger. So let's see how this shows after I'm done here. As far as, you don't want it as big as the headline, you want it to kind of be in the middle, but not the same size as the body copy. All right, indent spacing, you want a line left. I think that just looks better, especially with the copy that you have. Maybe the color's different. Maybe we're gonna do the red. And click OK. Now, once you're ready to go and choose that subhead, go ahead and highlight it. Oh, we forgot to name it. Let's double click on here. Thought I did name it. Okay, so that's the subhead here. I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to change it just a little bit. I'm going to go 13, and I'm going to do I'm going to do a 13 point and a bold condensed. That stands out a little bit more. Okay, so then I'm going to go through and choose all the ones. I have to delete that space there. That are subheads. Oops. All right, so let me show you how to create a linked box, because right now we have all of this copy, but there's more copy under here to be shown. And how do I know that? Because there's a little red box. Let me zoom in here. I know it because I see in the example that there's more copy too. But at the very bottom right-hand corner of this text box, there's a little red square. And what that's telling me is, hey, you have more copy here. Your text box just isn't big enough for it to show, so it's hiding. So as a designer, before you send anything for print, you got to make sure you look for those little red boxes, because you don't want copy to be hiding, missing copy that didn't get pushed over to another page or is viewing as well. So all you need to do is click on that little red box one time, and you'll see, before you even do anything, once you end that click, a little alias will come up, and it's basically saying, okay, you have this copy now, where do you want to put it? Okay, so I would definitely go back over to your second page, go ahead and click and draw out another box that kind of uses the left column here, and there you go, and it automatically links to that box. So it's linked. Anytime I move this box down, watch what happens on the right. So it's nice. I mean, I've been at the point where I actually did separate boxes and they weren't linked whenever I was first learning. And what a pain in the butt to like have to change something. It just didn't make it very easy. So that's kind of what that's for, especially if you have a lot of pages. Okay, so let's go ahead. I wanted to show you that real quick. Notice how you have some spaces here that are bigger than what you have down here. Just go ahead and delete the extra space out. There is a way that you can make sure that your copy has very consistent spacing in between the, if you do have a space between paragraphs. And that's basically going to be in your body copy. Just double click on the body copy and you go to your spacing. So indents and spacing, and everything looks good. You would do the space before, and well, it would be the space after you would want to change. So the space after any type of paragraph, if you change that, let's say to 0.125, or let's do 0.25. See how it's kind of putting that space in there? That's after any type of a return. And click OK. Now the only bad thing about that is because I do have hard returns in here, this is kind of what it'll look like. So once you do that, you need to go back and actually get rid of some of the spacing in there. And that might kind of screw you up, but yeah, it's going to screw your body copy up. But that's how you would do that evenly, so you're not messing around with just having one space in between here. Okay, so I'm going to choose the next subhead and change those. There we go. Looks good. The only other thing I want to maybe try to fix is, see where these bullet points are down here? Zoom in on here. I'm going to make this a separate, let's see if it continues up here. Yeah, it does. A separate style sheet. So I'm going to kind of make it similar to the body copy, but I'm going to have a tab there. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to select, I'm going to click and select this. You don't have to do this, but if you want to experiment and play around with it, you definitely can. So I'm only highlighting the text that I want to change. I'm going to do, with that selected, I'm going to go up to the right-hand corner and say duplicate style. And I'm going to name this body copy bullet point. So it has to have the same style. The only difference being is it's going to have a bullet point. But because it already has a bullet point, we just have to set the tab. It looks like there's tabs already set here. Interesting. Okay. So has our work. Work is set out for us here. Let's move this just a little bit. We have our work set out for us here. So I set my first left justified tab at 0.25, the second one at 0.375. So the first one will be the one before the bullet point, and then the second one will be the in between the bullet point and the type. So click OK. Now you just have to put the tab in. So just click right in before the first bullet point and choose tab. You can probably delete that space and hit tab there. Go down to the next line, hit tab. You might have to hit it twice. I'd probably do a shift return here. Just to kind of get that, so that you have probably here too a nice rag and there's no not supporting text underneath that line. So I'm just doing tabs there. Same thing here. I'm going to delete that out. I'm doing shift returns there and 2 tabs there. Shift return so we don't have an issue with the widow there. Shift return, tab, 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 tab. This can be a little confusing at first, but once you get it, it's all good. So anytime you need to change the tabs in that again, so all you really need to do is just double click, whoops, on, see, that should be the bullet points. There we go. Didn't even have that style picked, so let me go back there and adjust it. Okay, so anytime you need to change it, just double click on your bullet points, go to tabs, and like, let's say you want more space in between the bullet point or less space. Okay, you can always kind of adjust it. It kind of sets it apart from the rest of the copy, so it's kind of a nice little, it just helps your eye kind of separate certain important parts of the copy, just like emphasizes it in a different way. Okay. So go throughout your copy, adjust any type of weird last widow type, if you have weird hyphens or whatever. I'm going to wait a little bit until we get everything in here to do so, because we might be adjusting some things. So it looks like my article's a little short here. So what I might need to do is just kind of make this a little bit bigger, the actual image, and then pull this down. Just make sure you don't have a lot, like for instance, right here, see how it says your environment matters, and then there's only one sentence. You want more than one sentence to be shown there. You want, make sure that this isn't too close to the bottom here. So adjust it so that you don't have that weird that weird break there. Delete that space out of there. So you might be kind of pulling down the image to make it a little bit bigger, and then also adjusting, you know, maybe the headline here, so it's nicely spaced. It's not too far away. Okay. This is all aligned. Make sure your baselines are all aligned down below, all the way across. You don't want, like, for instance, this, you don't want this line to be longer than this line. You want it to all be stopping on the same baseline before the next column, and all aligned in that regards. Okay. The next thing before we take a break, I want to show you how to do a drop cap. And we didn't do that on the first lecture last week, so it's important to do that. So I'm going to select just the first letter of the article, and I'm going to bring up your character styles, and I'm going to go to the upper right hand corner and say new character style, and I'm going to name this drop cap. Everything, I mean, you can even change the character style of this. This can be, you know, a different character style as long as it works. You can change how big it is. So this is basically setting your style up. Now you're going to want to open up your paragraph styles, do a new paragraph style, and we're going to name this drop cap. Helvetica new. And I'm going to do bold condensed. Okay, so you want to go down to drop caps. And in the drop cap presets, you want to see where it says lines. You want to indicate how many lines you want this drop cap to kind of fall upon. So typically, and I think the one in the example I showed you is 3. And you want to do 1 character. You could do a different color. Like if you wanted to maybe do red, click OK. Paragraph style, drop cap. Now, the only bad thing about this is it could change your whole setting here. So it's going to change all of this. So what we need to do is we need to, let me open up my character. Styles here. Okay. So what we need to do, instead of this is kind of where it's going to throw you guys off. So let me delete this paragraph style because it's gonna change this whole paragraph style. Let's delete that. Let's go back to your character style. We're gonna go to that drop cap, select that. Then we're gonna go to your paragraph panel, which is up here. If you go to window, you choose types and tables and choose paragraph. And go to where it says drop cap, the very bottom icon here with the big A. And then you can adjust that and choose, I would choose 3. That's how many lines that it's being affected. Paragraph style, we need this to be body copy here. Okay, so this is doing the same thing. We need this to be separate. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to character style, paragraph style. We're going to hit control click on top. We're going to, no, we don't want that. We're going to edit this. Okay, I think I know what's going on here. All right, let me go back to the regular body copy. I think I'm showing you guys like the wrong way to do this. I apologize for any confusion. Let's forget exactly what I just told you, like just the last 5 minutes. Sometimes I get mixed up on this because I don't do too many drop caps, and it's the way that you do it is important. So sometimes it happens. Let me go back to character styles. Let's get rid of that totally. So like we started from scratch. Oops. So just like we started from scratch. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a paragraph style for this whole first paragraph. So I showed you the wrong way. So this is the right way, people. I'm sorry I confused you. So we're just gonna select this whole entire first paragraph where your drop cap would be, just with the type tool. And before I do that, let me trash this one so we don't get confused here. Okay. Okay, so it's selected. Now we're going to do a new paragraph style, and we're going to name this drop cap first paragraph. Okay, everything should be the same. Just go down to drop cap. We want 1 character, 3 lines. 3 lines, 1 character. The character style we'll just leave as is. We can actually choose a character style, and I can show you how to do that. Now just choose drop shadow first paragraph, or drop cap first paragraph. So it's going to keep that style of your body copy, but that's going to drop your first drop cap. Now, if you want to change that style, we're going to have to go back to your character styles. Go ahead and do a new character style, drop cap, like we did before. Go ahead and do Helvetica or whatever, you know, something different if you want to try it. Where was I? Condensed. Oh, we were at condensed here. Size is fine. I just want to do character color. Red. Okay. So that's where you would change the actual style of that letter. Okay. So anytime you want to do a drop cap, so let's say we want to add that to the front, like first page that we did do that. There we go. Just be consistent with it. Make sure that the drop cap that you're creating is the same in all instances. Okay. I have some weird stuff going on here. With my body copy. Oh, I deleted my body copy bullet point by accident. That's why. New paragraph style. Tab. That's why. With all the confusion, I accidentally deleted that. So I'm going to have to go back and take out all my wonderful tabs and spaces. I'm just going to bump that word up. You won't have to worry about this if you didn't delete your paragraph style like I did. It's one of the things that happens. So at least you can learn from my mistakes here. But anyway, yeah, I apologize for confusing you guys in the beginning on how to do that. It's, like I said, always kind of gets me sometimes, the process step. I always forget that you actually have to create a paragraph style for that first paragraph so that you're not implementing the style to the entire type. Pull this up, make sure. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of trying to massage. This is what you do. You massage the type, the imagery to kind of make it work so that you have even spaces and the type isn't getting too short on one side. I did notice an orphan, two widows here that I need to take care of. Do shift return, that took care of that. And then here, there we go, perfect. All right, save that. So we pretty much got to the point of pretty much ending this. The only thing I noticed is this isn't quite landing on that same baseline as this paragraph. And I think that has something to do with the baseline's not aligning here. I'm going to shift this down a little bit. There we go. No, it has my aligned to baseline. Does this have it? No, this is what screwed me up. This copy needs to have the align to baseline. But, oh, it's even bigger. It's bigger type size. That shouldn't be right. Okay, let me get my paragraph style. This should be 11 point size. Should be exactly like the body copy. So 11 and 12. For some reason that got screwed up. There we go. So now that baseline should align. We had some weird, I don't know why I didn't catch that, but so I probably would want that to come up. Let me adjust my tabs a little bit because I think they're a little far out. How nice and easy that is. So now I can adjust this again. Now I'm going to have to go through this one more time because I had the type set at a different size as the regular body copy paragraph style for some reason. Okay. We're just deleting those spaces out. Okay. So it's nice because it starts a new bullet point. I'm not having to worry about having a weird break here. So then all these baselines, if I were to pull down a margin guide here, all of these baselines would align because I have that baseline aligned to baseline. See that? So make sure you're measuring that. And then I noticed a lot of students in the past get super close to the bottom here with their type. So let me show you what I'm talking about so you can avoid it. See my line here? There should be at least 1/4 of an inch, if not a 1/2 inch. So if you have your type getting this close to it, that's too close to the bottom text or rule line. You want a nice white frame, white spaced frame to help balance everything. So, you know, it's not flowing together. You have a nice visual pause. The only other thing I see is another widow down here I need to take care of. That looks good. Okay, so just kind of make sure you don't have any weird gaps on the rag. This is a rag. It's on the very right side of your copy, Justify left copy. If you see any weird, like right here, probably kind of bothers me visually, but you know, I think it works for the bulleted point copy. But if you see any really big white gaps, you need to kind of take care of that by, you know, pushing that word up or pushing a word down, depending on how that balance takes place. All right, so we're going to take a quick break here, and then I'll continue with this side, this healthy snacking article here, and we'll go from there. Okay, looks like our 5 minutes is up. So we just completed the first article that kind of continues into the second page here, which is page number 3. What we still need to do, let me stop sharing and we'll take a look at the example here, is this healthy snack pop-up article here. So this is kind of what we need to do next. So let's go ahead and get started with that. All right, so what I would do first is, like I said, let me bring in my guides here. I probably would do what I did in the beginning, which was bring in the copy. Now, this is a little different. This is a little bit of a different treatment in regards to the columns. You don't really want this to align as perfectly on the second and third column because you're going to have a box that's going to come in. So you want to pull these in about 1/4 of an inch on both sides, even further down here. So you're going to take the rectangle tool and you're going to just draw a box, a rectangle all the way down to kind of where the baseline hits of the copy. Now, with that selected, we're going to go to your colors, which I have to bring up here. Swatches. And I would just choose that blue that's in the masthead. If you don't have that selected yet, use your eyedropper tool. Go ahead and fill it with that blue. That way we're keeping it consistent with not only the masthead, but also if you created subheads or your headline in that same blue, we're keeping it consistent. Fill it, so change the fill, no stroke. I don't think there's a stroke on the example, let me see. Yeah, there is a red stroke on the example, so we'll change that. Before we do, let's give this a transparency of 15%. Typically, transparent, when you do a transparency of a color, it always prints darker. So you want to play it safe. 10 to 15% is usually a good percentage so that you're not having any readability issues, especially if you have black type on it. Okay, the next thing that I would do is send to back. So object, arrange, send to back because it's right now in front of your type. So when you click here, you can actually access your type now. Pull the bounding box of your type down. Let me pull this out a little bit so it's more even. And what we want to do is we want to place in the image and then, you know, kind of set your styles here up. So take your rectangle frame tool and what you could do is drag from your rulers. If you don't have your rulers up, go to view, show rulers. Mine are already showing, so it says hide rulers. And you'll get rulers on the left side of your document and on the top. So you can drag from the actual ruler, drag and click and drag margin guides. And this kind of helps you align evenly. These will not print. They're just for you to be able to set up a grid so that you're aligning all of your elements properly. So I drew these lines here so that I could adequately and equally align my picture frame box. Do Command D and look for the healthy snack. Oh, you know what? I forgot the image down here. We have to adjust that too. Healthy snack image here. Go to object, fitting, fill frame proportionately. Oh, don't want to do that. And there we go. So I have a nice even space on all sides here. I think this one's might be a little off here. Okay. Then, of course, we need to change the headline. So we want to go changes to headline. If you want to center this headline, I think in the example it is centered. We'll just have to do a new paragraph style. Okay, so what you do, if you want to keep it consistent with the headline, just upper right hand corner click, say duplicate style, You want to maybe indicate that this is headline center. And the only thing maybe you want to change is the should be paragraph rules. No. There. Alignment. So indents and spacing. You went center, click OK. So there you go. So it centers that. Okay. Let me see here. All right, in the example, the first paragraph is set apart. So what I mean by that is what I would do is just go ahead and copy this numbered portion. Go ahead and highlight it and copy it. So Command C and delete it out of there. So you're just left with this paragraph, right? Pull this back up. Go ahead and take the type tool, create a new type box. Command V, so you're pasting that in there. And what that's going to do is allow you to keep this copy as one column type, and then this copy you're going to do 2 columns. So you're going to go up to Object, Text Frame Options, and number 2, kind of like what we did before. Only make sure you change that to 0.2. Okay. So this is 2 columns. This is 1 column. And now we're just going to massage everything into place. We have an image that needs to be in there. Take the rectangle frame tool. I would align it from the left to the right margin on the right column there. And it's called Healthy, geez, what was that? I did it so quick. Healthy Snacking 2. And again, you're going to have to go to Object, Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionately to fill that in there. If you want to do a border, go ahead and do another text rectangle without a fill, just a stroke of red around the blue box. I forgot that too. Where's my swatches here? I don't know why they don't stay up here. I guess I've been clicking them off. All right, the next thing is I'm going to zoom in here and I'm going to just kind of help balance this out. I believe this should have a drop cap as well. If we're going to do it throughout, we have to be consistent. Actually, before I do that, let's highlight all of this like we did before. Where's my drop cap first paragraph? There we go. And then I'm going to change my character. Actually, you know what? Let me show you something real quick because this isn't changing the character style here. Go back to your paragraph styles, double click on the drop cap first paragraph that you changed, and you can base this on oh, wait a second. Go back to character styles. Oh, okay. You can base it on a paragraph style, but I don't want it to screw up everything else. So let's just go back and give it that drop cap. If you want to do a new drop cap, duplicate this and duplicate it, and then maybe a different color. You can change that here. Like say you don't want red, you want blue. Just do a new, completely new duplicate drop cap. Just change the color to blue. So it's still consistent, it's just changing it to blue. So make sure whatever drop cap that you're using, and any, you know, if you are using the drop caps, that it's consistent, the same typeface, the same drop cap as far as how many lines it drops down. Okay, I'm going to actually select this copy and I'm going to go back to my paragraph styles and I'm going to use the bullet point option here, because I want to do those same tabs that I did before in that bullet point of the copy, just so it sets it off a little bit different. I'm just doing tabs. It's a little bit more work, but it's worth it if it's kind of setting it off a little differently and it's easier to follow and looks nice. Just aesthetically pleasing. It aligns perfectly. You just have to put the tabs in there. Oops, something got screwed up here. Hold on. Really? There we go. Okay. And I just have to adjust this photo. We have a weird one line up here that I want to fix too. So let's pull this up a little bit. Pull this down so that this aligns with that a little bit better. That looks good. Okay, so you can see I have my baselines aligning. This is aligning with this baseline, the image. The only thing I need to fix are some of the hyphens up here. Just do a shift return. That looks good. It looks even. Everything looks very even and easy to follow. And clean looking. You don't want any weird white gaps. Like for instance, you don't want a gap like that down here. Now the one thing I did notice is I am missing a picture here. So I have to put that in. So you can see in this example, if I can choose the right example here, sorry. Where is it here? PDF right here. There's a image here that we need to place in there. So let's go back and adjust that. And you know, it's just one of the things that happens. Sometimes you'll forget, or maybe a client will give you like a last minute thing to put in there. So let's pull this up. I think that's probably the best option for now. And then go ahead and place this image in. And this is the Get More Study Time. This image here, Study Time 2. We're going to put a text wrap on this. A text wrap is basically a buffer, so it'll bump up it. You know, see how the text is going behind it right now? This won't happen if you have a text wrap on it, okay? So a text wrap can be found under Window and go under Text Wrap. And when you open up that panel, you'll have different icon options here. One is No Text Wrap, which is what's selected. Wrap Around Bounding Box. So that would be what you see here in the blue box. You can have a Wrap Around Object Shape, so the original shape. You can have it Jump Object or Jump Next Column. What we want is Wrap Around Bounding Box. And when we select that, we have the option to, you know, to create the space that we want. I'm going to go back to that here. So That's group, yeah. We want, you'll see when I do the up arrows, the space that you have, the buffer space will kind of get bigger or smaller depending on what I click here. So what's affecting here, it's all the top offset, bottom, left and right. You can turn off the left and right. So just click on this link here if you don't want to bother with the left and right, and just set that at 0. Because really all we want to do is affect the top and maybe the bottom. And what that's going to do is it's just going to make it so it doesn't come too close to the image. And also, let me just, you don't have type behind the image itself. So I'm going to kind of adjust this so that I don't have just one sentence up there, and it's kind of bumping that down a little bit. Oops. I'm just kind of massaging it, seeing kind of what works, what doesn't work. Looks like that's getting closer to what I want. And of course I have to change this. This looks pretty good. I mean, there's not too much of a space down here that it looks unbalanced. So that looks pretty good. But notice how I just kind of did those slight little massages on this image and then this image and the, you know, kind of, I need to bump this down a little bit. Just the little things to kind of, you know, kind of make it work. Just pay attention. This is probably not good with one sentence here. Let's see if I can pull this down one time. That might be something that needs to be changed, but then you have one sentence up here. So that's probably the best thing that you could do right there. There we go. All right, so that's pretty much what you have to do for this 2 pages here. Just pay attention to your alignment. Make sure you have your character styles and your paragraph styles set. You can even, let's see here in paragraph styles, bullet point, make this bold or something, make it pop out a little bit more. Where are we at? Bullet point. This is a different character style. Hold on one second here, guys. Baskerville is what I used. Okay. Well, I need to change that then. So bullet point, double click. We need to change this to Baskerville. That might change some things in my copy. And then maybe do like a bold or semi-bold. Now it's going to screw up my spacing. I'll have to go back and change it, but anyway, it's consistent. All right, so once you're done, you're gonna package this again. Make sure you named it the assignment 4. You have your first front page. Everything's very consistent. You don't have, you know, you wanna make sure that this body copy is the same style and same size as this body copy throughout your article. You can put a little address to, you can put Independence address down here on the upper right-hand corner. I'm sorry, Midway, which is giving you, I think Midway. Let me see where my guides are. I think I put it at 6 inches and then align that to that. So I just have Independence. Make sure it's small. I only have it set at like 11 points. Independence address. When you're ready to package, just go File, Package. Make sure everything looks good. Package. A lot of you guys missed some of this stuff. Make sure this is all checked. The only thing I don't want you to check is the PDF. We're going to do that separately, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to save this to my desktop package. We are going to do it. We're just not going to do it at this point. So save that. Now we're going to do the PDF. So go File, PDF Presets. Go to the small file size. Save it to the desktop. This is why I want you guys to wait to do it separately, because you can't access these presets if you include it in your folder. So the main thing that I want you to take a very, very close eye to is that you're choosing spreads. If you don't choose spreads, these 2 pages will be vertical and they won't be side to side, side by side. So when you open up the PDF, you'll have, if you did spread, you'll have the front cover, the 2 spreads side by side, and then the last page. That's how it should look. If you have a PDF that's showing 4 separate vertical, it's like all 1 page straight down, that's when you know you did it wrong. You need to go back and change that. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. So just bear with me here. I have lots to hide here. Okay, so here is the PDF that I just created. Here's the folder that I just packaged. You should have your InDesign file, your images, and your fonts. Just go ahead and dump that PDF right into that folder, right in here. Then do a control click if you're on a Mac and choose compress. And this is essentially what you're going to be submitting for your final project. All right, well, let me know if you have any problems. Like I said, I apologize about screwing up the drop cap section there. I know it might be a little confusing to you at first, but I got a handle on it, so hopefully you guys aren't too confused about that. Just keep keep a close eye on that last revision that I told you about. If you have any questions, let me know. I am here to help you guys, and I don't want you to be stuck. I don't want you guys to just wait till the last minute either. I will be here tomorrow evening. Check out our times in the for the multi-session. So if you need extra help, even just to look at your stuff, I know some of you guys aren't taking advantage of that. So I will be in there. Let me know if you need extra help. All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful night and good luck with your final projects. Talk to you on the discussion boards. Okay. Good night, guys.